Setting healthy boundaries and respecting other people's boundaries may be an excellent way to cultivate a healthy relationship with yourself and other people as well. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the importance of setting boundaries and respecting other people's boundaries, and how you too can also set your boundaries and respect other people's boundaries as well. Let's do this. In my honest opinion, a life without healthy boundaries is a life of total chaos, where any Tom, Dick, and Harry can walk in and do whatever it is at the expense of your emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual health. Now, whether it's with your family members, your friends, your co-workers at the office, even with total strangers, it's always very important and advisable to set healthy boundaries so that you can protect yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually as well. Of course, setting healthy boundaries is also an amazing way to avoid conflicts and strengthen the bonds you have with the different people in your lives, like your family members and your friends. When there are boundaries that have been set in place, limits and standards that people must not cross, it actually fosters peace and unity in your relationships. On the other hand, not setting healthy boundaries and enforcing them can actually lead to a lot of pain, lots of tension, lots of strife, lots of disunity and discord in the relationship. Now, what are boundaries, you might ask? In very simple terms, I've put down here that boundaries are simply setting rules and standards of appropriate behavior for others to abide by when dealing with you. And enforcing these boundaries are very important, like I've said before, to protect your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, and your spiritual health as well. People will treat you how you allow them to treat you. And if you constantly continue to allow them to walk all over your life, best believe that they will continue to do it without any remorse or care to you. And this is why it's of utmost importance that you are setting healthy boundaries for yourself. Now, when you set a healthy boundary, or when you set healthy boundaries, trust me, there are people in your life who would not like it. The people who are closest to you sometimes are the ones who rebel against the healthy boundaries that you have set. But it is their responsibility to obey or abide by your boundaries. As long as this boundary helps you maintain your peace and your sanity and constantly protects you mentally and emotionally, it is your responsibility to ensure that you continue to enforce it. I find that not setting healthy boundaries and enforcing it is actually the biggest way to be disloyal to yourself as a person. And the worst thing that can happen to any individual is to put themselves at the disservice or a disadvantage simply because they're trying to please everyone else in their lives. I think that that's the worst thing that you can ever allow happen to you. So healthy boundaries allows you to stay loyal and true to your authentic self while ensuring that others are not crossing or hampering with your emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical well-being. So you now understand what healthy boundaries are and what's the importance of setting them. And then you're asking, what does a healthy boundary look like? What does it look like in real life, in actual real life situation? And I've put a couple of scenarios down. A healthy boundary can be you telling your friend that you aren't okay with her constantly snooping through your phone, especially when you just leave the phone on the table. Being strict with communicating that it's not okay by you that she does that is you actually setting a healthy boundary to protect yourself in every situation. A healthy boundary can be you telling your family members how many times in a month they should come visiting. Sometimes family members show up unannounced in our houses, and not because we don't want them or we are not happy that they're there, but sometimes you really want to put in effort to take care of them when they show up. But when they show up unannounced, it means that you now have to start worrying last minute about how to take care of them. And sometimes you already have a full busy schedule. And because they show up unannounced, you are now worrying about how to take care of them. You leave everything else you want to do everything just becomes very spontaneous, and that's not okay. So telling them, oh, this is the amount of time you come visit me per week or per month, is actually a way to protect your sanity and ensure that you are well prepared for them whenever they show up. Another way you can set a healthy boundary can be you telling your coworker at the office not to address you with a particular type of title. Maybe someone is calling you Auntie Ada, or Auntie, when, like, my name is just simply Winifred and someone decides to say Auntie Winifred, like, don't do that. I don't want you to call me, or don't give me the auntie tag. You are not my niece, neither are you my nephew. Let's leave that title for the people who actually have earned the rights to call me that title. Telling your guests to take off their shoes at the door when they come into your home, because I mean, it's important, like, especially if you observe floor time in your house. You don't want people bringing in their debts from the outside world into your home. So take off the shoes at the door. Another one is like you telling your friends and family members not to go to your fridge to pick out refreshments without first consulting you. I actually have a family member who does this. At first, when it first happened, I'm like, okay, it didn't make sense to me, but doesn't have to make sense to me. Setting a boundary, or when someone has set a boundary, it really doesn't have to make sense to you. So someone telling you, don't go to my fridge without my consent, that's the person setting a healthy boundary, and you must abide by it. You telling your boyfriend not to call you at a certain time during the day, maybe because you're working or because you're observing me time or something, whatever it is. Another one can be you telling your friends that you'd rather stay indoors instead of going out to party all night or going to a club that you don't fancy. That's setting a healthy boundary. Another boundary can be you telling your family to knock before they come into your room. Another one can be you telling your partner not to interrupt you when you're working from home. Another one can be you asking that the conversation be moved to another time to enable you prepare for it adequately. The truth of the matter is that as an adult, as a person, you are entitled to set as many healthy boundaries as possible. Again, as long as it is protecting you mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. In fact, mentally and emotionally, most importantly, because people have the rights. If you leave people, they will walk all over you. They will come at you, trample and tread on your privacy, and let you know that you can do nothing about it. But it's time to start setting these healthy boundaries so that you can prove to them that, you see this territory, where my life is concerned, I'm in charge. I give the orders, I set the standards, and you must abide by them. But at this point, I would also add that you have to be very careful when you are setting your boundaries, because sometimes some people set boundaries from a place of trying to control or be manipulative of others, or just trying to be selfish or greedy for just their selfish interests. Don't set a boundary from a selfish place, okay? There's still a place of empathy and being compassionate when dealing with other people. But setting a boundary, like I said, the primary goal of setting a boundary is just to protect your peace and protect you emotionally and mentally in other aspects, so that people don't walk all over you. But that doesn't mean that you should now use that as a reason to be toxic towards others when trying to be by trying to be selfish or manipulative of them. That's not okay. So your boundary should be something that actually just helps you thrive in life, something that aligns with your moral values and your life goals, so that you are able to accomplish your everyday tasks with ease and without stress, or without anyone coming to invade the plans that you already have. Before we go on, remember that we have the course, The Art of Speaking Eloquently and Elegantly, up on discount right now. This course is perfect for anyone who wants to improve their communication skills, who wants to communicate their ideas and their thoughts articulately, and just pretty much improve the way they have conversations and communicate with others. This course is definitely for you. Click the link in the description box down below and to get more information, and then on how you can also access the course as well. All right, let's get right back into the video, shall we? Now, the same thing can be said for respecting other people's boundaries. When you have decided to respect another person's boundary, whether or not you agree with the boundary that they have set, or whether or not you understand it, by just simply obeying it and abiding by it, what you're doing is you're telling that person, I care about you, I honor you, and I respect you. It lets that person be very free around you to be themselves. And it also lets that person know that they have the right of autonomy, that you know that they have the right of autonomy to their own lives, and that you actually know and are aware that they know what's best for them at different points or different times in their lives. That shows the person that you actually truly respect them. I tell you, it's one of the fastest ways to foster healthy relationships and healthy friendships with the different people in your lives, whether it's your family members or your friends or your co-workers or even total strangers. When a person has set a boundary, it is your responsibility to obey and abide by those set boundaries, whether or not you agree with them or you understand them. Always remember that how you want to be treated is how the other person wants to be treated. Even the Bible even clearly says it. Do unto others as you want them to do to you. I think the one I remember clearly is when Jesus was talking about love, the most important commandment. And he says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So the way you love and you take care of yourself and you're being nice and you want people to respect your own boundaries, is the same way you must honor and respect other people's boundaries as well. Okay? For example, if someone has said, I think I mentioned this example earlier, that they don't want to be called by a certain name, or if someone has said, when communicating with me, don't use swear words or profane language. If someone has clearly stated that, why do you want to trample on their rights and then make them feel like they don't know what they're saying by telling you not to use swear words around me? There's a reason they don't like it. Maybe you never can even tell. Maybe they are struggling and they're struggling to stop using it. And they're saying they don't want to use swear words anymore. And telling you not to use it in your communication with them is helping them physically, mentally to get over using profane words. So you just obey and not use it so that it can help them get over it quickly. Because if, for example, they tell you not to use swear words to communicate with them and you keep using swear words, it will not help them get over it as quickly as they want to get over it. And that's a goal that they have set for themselves. So you never can tell why a person has a boundary. All you just have to do is obey and abide by the boundary. Remember that people set healthy boundaries, like I said before, to protect themselves emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. A person doesn't have to keep repeating to you over and over and over again, this thing you're doing to me, I don't like it. Maybe you're even a parent watching this video, and then you keep constantly barging into your children's room and without knocking or without respecting their privacy. And they keep telling you, Mom, please kindly knock before you come into my room. You owe them the respect of at least knocking. I know you are their parent, but they too have a right to a certain level of privacy. And you should actually ensure that you are respecting their boundaries for whatever reason best known to them. And if you feel like as a parent you don't want to respect the boundary, maybe go have a conversation with your child and say, okay, this is the reason why I may be coming into your room the way I come in. Let the person or the child know that, okay, at least you respected what I said and you're coming to explain your own side. Not that you just ignore them and make them feel like they have no right of say to whatever happens in their own lives as children. I'm just using that as an example. So someone doesn't have to keep repeating themselves when they have clearly stated that this is a boundary or this is a line that you shouldn't cross. They don't have to repeat it over and over again before you abide by it, okay? And I also put down here that when you don't respect other people's boundary, it can sometimes breed resentment, cause unnecessary tension, and a lot of stress. It can create a lack of trust and security, and these ultimately hamper with the health and the progress and the welfare of the relationship or whatever relationship it is. If your partner has said to you, stop snooping through my phone, I don't want you snooping through my phone, how about you respect this boundary that they have set and abide by it? I tell you that life will be a whole lot easier. Relationships will be a whole lot easier and run a whole lot smoother if we would only learn to respect other people's boundaries and of course set our own boundaries as well. And as we set our own boundaries, we should be communicating these boundaries in very clear terms. So how then do you now set a boundary? It's pretty much simple. Just look at the different aspects of your life. Look at the different things that you do. Look at your goals, look at your values, look at your moral principles. Identify how people tend to impede or how people tend to be negative about these things that you've set for yourself. Maybe you're trying to achieve something in life and the people around you aren't giving you the inspiration or even the opportunity to achieve it. So maybe, for example, you live with your friends and you're always trying to read your books, but then your friends will always want to come to your room to gist with you. And then you tell them, see guys, I'm studying for this exam, and between the hours of 1 and 5, I don't want anyone calling me. I don't want anyone coming into my room. I don't want anyone asking me any questions. That's a healthy boundary that you have set for yourself so that you can achieve the goal of reading for your exams and passing it. So identify the different goals, identify the different things that are important to you, and identify how people are impeding it or acting against it with their actions or their words and thoughts, and then now create the boundary and say that, just enforce that law, create that law and order that protects you and protects that goal that you have set so that you can actually achieve it without people bringing in their negativity and bringing in their limitations and all of those bad energy into that goal. That's how you set a healthy boundary. And for respecting other people's boundaries, it's just that simple. Simply respect and honor it and abide by it, whether or not you understand it or agree with it. That's pretty much all that I have for you for today's episode. If you think that I missed out something, or if there's something more that we need to touch on when it comes to setting healthy boundaries and respecting healthy boundaries, let's continue the conversation in the comment section down below. And also, please let me know how setting a healthy boundary in your life has actually helped you in your relationships with other people, with the people in your lives. I'll see you again with another episode. Until then, remember to be very kind to one another and continue to stay very elegant. Take care.